Hey guys, welcome back to V's Corner from Chile to the US and back again. Well, we ended up, Jesse. I told you about Jesse. I mean, there's a lot more, and I guess if you guys have more questions about certain things, you guys could always write in the comments and ask me. I have no problem telling you more about him. It's just like a lot of this part of my life, I was high all the time. And even because you're tweaking, it's like, but days pass, weeks pass, and you don't even know like what day it is. And I lost a lot. Like, I don't know what happened a lot of times. So details, I don't remember. But if you would ask me like certain things you want to know, no problem. I'll tell you. Okay, well, in this time with me knowing Jesse, we used to go places that were, had drugs. And that's how we met people, And I met a friend of his, Margaret, and she was your typical tweaker dealer. She had she was a great person. Nothing, I can't say anything bad about her. So she was a tweaker, she was the typical tweaker. She was always grouchy. Sometimes she was happy. She had a husband. Can't remember, Mariano, I think. What's his name? Anyways, the thing is that I met her through Jesse, and we used to stay at their house, get high for days at a time. I don't remember, but we would stay there in between, fixes or places or whatever it was that we were doing at the time. So when Jesse disappears and everything, again, I'm back on my feet, but I still have a drug problem. So with what I do is I just decide to, find my own connection. I said, if I find my own connection, I have to keep buying little pieces here and there, And I got a hold of her. Don't ask me how. I don't even remember. But I got a hold of her somehow, and I would go buy from her. And she would always buy, I could always buy a lot from her. And since I was working, I could get it from her. I could go to her house. I could smoke. And she was just, how can I explain? Typical tweaker dealer. Like, you would go to her house, and there was 500 things going on. I mean, she was over here, cooking for the kids, on the phone. She would be, the computer would be on. At the time, the computers were just starting, and it was, so cool to have, you know what I mean? You could do so much stuff on the computers, and it's you still can, I'm just saying. But she would always be finding, some kind of transaction, some way to make money, drugs on the table, kids running around, and half the time, you would just go buy stuff, and she'd be like, hey girl, hold on, come on in, sit down, you give me a sec, I gotta do this, da, da, da. And you'd have to go, and you'd have to, because since she'd be high, she was in her own world. And if she had it, and she sometimes, it was cool, you would go, she would have it all packed up, ready for you to go, blah, blah, money's passing, and you're gone, bye. And then other times you go, and then, it's not ready, or she's tripping, she's high, and, she just gets high with you, and everybody's getting high, and she's so strung out, she doesn't know what's what, and then it's you gotta be on her. And then there's other times when you go, and she's just there's none. I don't know. I'm trying to find some. And hold on. And wait. And give me a sec. Hey, and do you know anybody? And do you know... Oh, my God. And she'll make you crazy. And she'll never tell you, before you get there, what's going on with her. She just come by. Just come over here, and she won't tell you. She wouldn't have told you, oh, I don't have anything, I'm waiting on it. And it's sometimes waiting on it would take 2-3 hours. And the thing is that when you're getting high, it's you're smoking, and you're tweaking, and you're talking, and you're fucking tripping, and 4 hours pass by. Don't know how that happened. Yeah, but I would go after work sometimes, to go by, and I would come home 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, and it's my mom's what the hell, with the kids, and I'm I know, I'm sorry, I had to work. I'm making up stuff all the time, lying all the time. It was terrible. But then, after that, we, I don't know, it was something normal with her, it's I weekly, and then one day, I walk in, and there's this nice, good looking white guy, I guess, walking, and I'm like, hey, or I don't even think I said hey or nothing. And I saw him, and yeah. Then another day I go by and I go to their house and he's there, and they introduce me. Hey, his name is, I don't know if I should say his name because of, we'll just say G. G, this is Verna, this is G, whatever. Hey, whatever. And somehow we ended up hooking up, going out. He saw me with my kids. He knew I had kids. I don't even remember our first. It was weird. Like, the fact that I was a tweaker. Like, for me, it was like I was an undercover tweaker because I worked, I did everything, but I had to do everything high. I would still sleep at night. You know what I mean? But during the day, I had to be on it, So, the relationship, it was weird because, like, I would have to do, and my life was always hiding it. God, I found so many ways to hide it. Like, I mean, I would even sometimes make pills. I would buy, I don't know, ginseng pills or whatever, vitamin pills, cheap ones, with the time-lapse, the little plastic capsules. And I would empty them out and then put the shards of tweak in there and make pills. Or sometimes I would crush it up and it just depends on what I had, how I had it. And I would make these and I would take them in the morning or like before I left, so that way it would like almost time release like during the day, and then it would just hit me so that way I wouldn't have to be doing it or smoke, because you can't smoke it just anywhere. And a line is kind of hard to, you're like the coke addicts, like when they're like, that they're all like, you can't tell they just did it. And I was trying to be normal, like I didn't want people to think that I was a tweaker. And the fact that I was losing weight, I mean, because I was heavier, so it's like losing weight wasn't that bad, until I started to like really like sucked up and stuff. But, I always try to make sure that I ate, and I don't know. Well, anyways, getting off the subject. The thing is that with G, we were like, I don't know, it was a weird relationship too, because plus he had, oh God. I mean, he was this white boy, regular white boy, working, has his little car, lives with his mom. His mom's a cat addict. Oh my God. She had like 24 cats or something like that. I don't know. She had so many cats. It's terrible. And her house smelled like cat piss and cat everything. It's just like, ew. You walked in, it's like I swear that G's room was the only thing that like didn't, and only because he had it sprayed, and like he was used to it, but he would do that for me, like spray up his room and everything. So I would hold my freaking breath from the entrance of his house all the way to the room. But he was nice. I mean, he was a white boy. My dad always wanted me to be with a white boy, so I was like, okay, now I got a white boy, whatever. He's got a good job, and everything. The only thing is that I'm on drugs all the time. So how do I not let him know that? You know what I mean? How do I avoid him finding out that I'm always high? Well, it's kind of hard when he knew Margaret was a dealer, so it's not like he didn't know that I bought it, So, but he noticed that it wasn't that serious, whatever. But when he started realizing that it was actually a problem for me, it was always like a fight, and he was trying to make me stop, and I was trying to like not, I don't know, lie to him and say, okay, I'm gonna stop, even though I wasn't. But it was just really hard. I mean, it was an interesting relationship between us. Then after that, we, I don't know how it got all twisted. Margaret ended up leaving. She moved out, for whatever reason. And I had to start finding other places to get it. And contacts, friends, friends of friends that you would meet there, trying to contact them around, hey, who's got some, da-da-da-da. And sometimes the people who had them weren't the best kind of people, you know what I mean? So it's like, and it was always, that's, like I said, that circle of tweakers is always sketchy and shady. It's like you never know what to expect, where you're going to go, and it's just so hard sometimes. And that was my thing, that sometimes I would disappear because I was looking for it, and then my dealer left. She disappeared. So now I had to go find it somewhere else. And it wasn't easy. So it was hard it was a hard relationship in the beginning until he decides to tell me, like, he smoked weed, but he didn't do anything else or drink. He was an alcoholic. So one day, in between all the stuff that we're going through, he tells me, like, hey, I want to see what you're doing. Can I try it? It's like, fuck. Okay. It's like a good excuse because now I don't have to hide it, to me. That was my reasoning. And he got hooked, of course. Of course he did. And that made it worse. Two people in a relationship tweaking. Did this already. What is wrong with me? And now I'm doing it again. I finally, it was hard now. Because now we are both, I've gone through all these jobs, leaving my kids with my mom, taking them, going back and forth. I'm in this weird relationship with this guy. I'm always looking for drugs. It's like my world is going so fast and I don't even know what's happening. It's like I'm just going day by day and don't ask me what's going on. I finally went through all these jobs and time had passed and fighting with my parents, I took off as usual. Hi. And I ended up staying with him for a while. And it just kept getting worse because not only was he an alcoholic and now a tweaker, gambling addict. So now he's gambling all the time too. And now, like, all his money that he has, he's just gambling because he's tweaking. So it's like, it's the only thing to do in Vegas. So now what do we do? It's like, I have made a monster, and then on top of this, he drinks. And when he drinks and he tweaks, he turns into this totally different person. And he started to hurt me. And hurt me bad. On top of that, not only was he doing that, but like he was showing up with money that I didn't understand how he was getting. And when he tells me that he's robbing places, I'm like, are you serious? And he's like, yeah, it's like the only way to get money, and I don't know, but he had gotten all kinds of money, and then he starts robbing houses, and I'm like, wait a minute, like, you're getting a little out of hand. But at the end, he would sell everything and come back with drugs. So it's like I was in between a rock and a hard place because I didn't know whether to be happy that he was making money or upset that he was stealing for it, or I didn't know. I was so high all the time. I didn't even care anymore. I was pretty much losing my mind at that point. I couldn't go back home because, like, I felt like, again, I have a drug problem. I'm just going to go back and I'm just going to leave again. It's like I was trying to avoid having that fight again in front of my kids. And then I was stuck with this guy that was going crazy because of me. And I didn't know what to do. G got to the point where he almost killed me a couple times. Reasons I don't remember. He would blame me for getting him hooked. I remember that. And one time he rammed me into the bathtub. My forehead was like this big. I looked like a monster. My eyes were black. My face was deformed where he rammed my head into the bathtub. And I remember that day he had stole a gun. And he had this gun pointed at my head, and I didn't know if it was loaded. He said it was. I didn't know if it was because I knew there wasn't any bullets, but he said he had some. I tried to get a hold of my mom. I got a hold of my mom. My mom and my oldest daughter went to go save me, and he wouldn't let me out. He wouldn't let me. I couldn't get out of there. And then they called the cops, and when the cops came, he took me. We just took off. He took me, I don't know where, some friend's house, and we hid out there, and I was pretty much out because I woke up in somebody's house, like, where am I? What's going on? And they told me that I was out for like 2 days. I was like, what? And I'm like, where's G at? And they were like, he went to go, I don't know. He had gone to do something. And then like when he shows up, it's like, I'm like, what the hell? What are we doing here? And he's like, well, now we have to wait until everything calms down because it's your fault because of this. Always blaming me for everything. And I couldn't go anywhere because I didn't know where I was. It was just weird. I don't know. That relationship just kept getting worse and worse, and I didn't know how to get out. And he was very threatening, and he would always tell me that he was going to kill my kids. Because he knew where I lived. So he'd be like, just watch what happens when you go to sleep. I'm going to go get your kids. And I was like, oh my God. So it's like I had to follow everything he said, and it just get worse and worse. And then it started where he goes one day and he just tells me to wait in the car. And he goes, get in the driver's seat. So I get in the driver's seat. I'm like, what? He goes, just drive. And I'm like, what the fuck? He had robbed one of these little casinos, and I'm like, oh my God. And he's like, well, what the hell? He goes, I have to tell you to drive. And I was like, well, I'm driving. He got away with it. And it was like, I mean, I don't even remember, like, it must have been like $2,000-$3,000. But he must have thrown that $2,000 or $3,000 right into the casino's butt, because I swear that money would just disappear. As fast as he would steal it, it was as fast as he would put it in the machines. Or because he liked poker, I think. He played poker, I don't remember. Or Texas Hold'em, something like that. And then it just kept getting worse. He was always stealing for us to get high, and then stealing so he could gamble. So it was the same thing. So it's like it was a freaking toxic cycle because we never had money for anything else. We were both skinny as hell because we didn't have food, and we never ate. And then what we ever do to sleep and have sex. I was stuck. Literally. Like, I had freaking tar on my feet. I couldn't leave. He wouldn't let me. And even when he would disappear, like, or go out, his mom. And it's like he had his mom, like, guard me. And then when she wasn't around, I still had nowhere to go because I had no money. I had no car. I had nowhere to get nowhere. No phone. No way to contact anyone. It's like, whatever I did, I'd have to walk forever. Believe me, I tried it. He found me, and things didn't get better because he would just beat my ass again. So I was just this beaten woman helping this guy rob places so we could get high and he could gamble. I'm not gonna lie and say I didn't gamble, but I mean, like, the problem was him. Like, it was only for that. It just got to the point where one day it just all exploded in our face. We went to I think I needed money for my kids. It was supposed to be our last one. It was the last time, and we were going to go with this money, and we were going to get cleaned up, and things were going to just get better. He robbed a nail place and picked a half asleep, tweaked out, fucked up girl to drive while he's robbing this place. In the nail salon, a girl was on the phone, called the cops. The helicopter was on us in like 5 seconds. I don't even know. There was no way to go. I tried to run as much as traffic would let me. It was terrible. They threw us on the ground into county. Hours and hours waiting. Just sitting there, waiting. Hungry. Tired. Sitting in these uncomfortable chairs in county, like, what's next? Waiting. And then when they finally process you and they tell you what you're in there for, it's like, what? Like, I don't even remember what it was at the time. I was like, his accomplice, driving, being the driver, or something like that. And my world just, I don't know what happened. Like, it just all fell apart. But at the same time, I think it was like the universe telling me, this is what you need right now. This is what's going to stop you. And I went to jail. I went to jail. I was, I can't remember what I was charged with right now, but I was charged with like accessory to robbery. I got 1 to 3 years. While we were in county, me and Gary tried to be real close. We'd writing to each other, trying to make it okay. And then until one of these girls stuck something in my head about, tell them you're pregnant. If you're pregnant, they won't charge you. They won't let you go, Okay. They won't let you go to prison. So, okay. So I'm like, so what do? I say I'm pregnant. But they take you to get checked. They check to see if you're pregnant. Hello? They didn't tell me that part. And yeah, they checked and no, I wasn't pregnant. But this whole plan to say I was pregnant so I could get out of it was like this big thing because like I had to make it real. Like I had to write it in letters. I had to, like, because they check, I had to tell G that I was, you know what I mean? And he had to really believe me. And I couldn't tell him that it wasn't real until, you know what I mean? I ended up just getting in more trouble. And then on top of that, right after that, they separated our cases. Like we weren't even going together anymore. Like they just said, your case is this and his case is this. Whoa. Well, I got a sentence 1 to 3 years and he got 10. But it wasn't his first time. And on top of that, because when he did this one, he did it with the sawed-off shotgun. A sawed-off shotgun that he stole from somebody else. And that it wasn't even sawed off. He sawed it off. I mean, he was just out of it. So he went to prison. And so did I. I went to prison, and I will start the next part of this prison story after a while. So, hope you guys are liking this. I'm kind of emotional right now. Hope you guys are liking this. Please subscribe, and if you guys have any questions, please go ahead and write in the comments.